Jefferson Randolph Soapy Smith was an American con artist and gangster in the American frontier. He was born November 2nd, 1860, in Coweta County, Georgia, to a wealthy family. His grandfather was a plantation owner and Georgia legislator, while his father was an attorney. However, the Smith family was met with financial ruin at the close of the American Civil War, and in 1876 they moved to Round Rock, Texas, to start anew. It was in Round Rock that Smith began his career as a confidence man. In 1877, Smith's mother died, and he left home shortly thereafter, but not before witnessing the death of the outlaw Sam Bass in 1878, which, of course, is a tale for another time. Smith formed a close-knit, disciplined gang of shills and thieves to work for him. He quickly became a well-known crime boss, and eventually the king of the frontier conmen. Smith's most well-known short con, for which he earned his name, was a ploy which the Denver newspapers dubbed the prize soap racket. Smith would set up a display case, piled with bars of soap, on a busy street corner. As he sold the bars of soap and spoke to a growing crowd of onlookers, he would wrap money ranging from $1 to $100 around a few select bars of soap. He then wrapped plain paper around all the bars so that the money was hidden. He then made the appearance of mixing the money-wrapped prize soap in with the regular soap and sold the soap to the crowd for $1 per bar. Then, a shill in the crowd would buy a bar, tear it open, and loudly proclaim that he had won some money, waving it around for all to see. The performance led to the sale of even more bars of soap. Midway through the sale, Smith would announce that the $100 bill still remained in the pile. He would then auction off the remaining soap bars to the highest bidders. Through manipulation and sleight of hand, the only money won went to his shills. On one occasion, Smith was arrested by policeman John Holland for running his prize soap racket. While writing in the police logbook, Holland had forgotten Smith's first name and wrote Soapy. The sobriquet stuck, and he became known as Soapy Smith. Smith had arrived in Denver for the first time in 1879, and by 1882, he had successfully built the first of his three empires. Conmen usually moved from town to town to avoid the law, but as Smith's power and gang grew, so did his influence at City Hall, which allowed him to remain in the city, protected from prosecution. By 1887, he was reputedly involved with most of the criminal activities in the city. In 1888, Smith opened the Tivoli Club, a combination saloon and gambling house. Smith's younger brother, Bascom Smith, joined the gang and operated a cigar store that was a front for dishonest poker games and other swindles, which operated in one of the back rooms. In 1892, with Denver in the midst of anti-gambling and saloon reforms, Smith sold the Tivoli and moved to Crete, Colorado, a mining boomtown that sprang up on the side of a major silver strike. Using Denver-based prostitutes to get close to property owners and convince them to sign over leases, he acquired numerous lots along Creed's main street and rented them to his associates. When the Klondike Gold Rush began in 1897, Smith moved his operations to Dyea and Skagway. His first attempt at occupying Skagway ended in failure when miners' committees encouraged him to leave the area after operating his three-card Monte and pea and shell games on the White Pass Trail for less than a month. He traveled to St. Louis and Washington, D.C., and did not return to Skagway until late January 1898. On July 7, 1898, John Douglas Stewart, a returning Klondike miner, came to Skagway with a sack of gold valued at $2,700, $82,620 in 2017 dollars. Three gang members convinced the miner to participate in a game of three-card Monte. When Stewart balked at having to pay his losses, the three men grabbed the sack and ran. The Committee of 101 Inches demanded that Smith return the gold, but he refused, claiming that Stewart had lost it fairly. On the evening of July 8th, the Vigilance Committee organized a meeting on the Juneau Wharf. With a Winchester rifle draped over his shoulder, Smith began an argument with Frank H. Reed, one of 4 guards blocking his way to the wharf. A gunfight, known as the Shootout on Juneau Wharf, began unexpectedly, and both men were fatally wounded. Smith's last words were, "My God, don't shoot." A letter from Sam Steele, the legendary head of the Canadian Mounties at the time, indicates that another guard, Jesse Murphy, may have fired the fatal shot. Smith died on the spot with a bullet to the heart. He also received a bullet in his left leg and a severe wound on the left arm by the elbow. Reed died 12 days later with a bullet in his leg and groin area. The 3 gang members who robbed Stewart received jail sentences. Soapy Smith was buried several yards outside the city cemetery.